Hey everybody, Vaughn here with the Vonster vlog, and welcome to day 132 of a year of yoga. My knee's kind of bothering me today, so with my left knee, it feels like something needs popped, maybe? I don't know. So I'm gonna take it kind of easy. Let us go ahead and there we go. We are going to be building on the same sequence that we've been working on for a hair over a week. Thank you guys for joining me here today. I'm going to start by just really trying to warm up through my lower body to take it easy with this knee, maybe pop whatever bubble is wanting popped. Inhale up, arms overhead. Connecting to our breath, let's inhale, exhale, swan dive forward, keeping a micro bend in our knees to be very extra gentle and safe with them. Inhale and exhale up to our flat back. One breath cycle here. Exhale as we come down, walking our hands out to a plank. And lower down into up dog. Up dog gives me some trouble, so I spend an extra breath there instead of rushing through. Opening our tailbone towards the sky, maybe shifting our weight, walking our knees out. Inhale and exhale, walk our hands towards our feet. Already I can sink so much deeper into the stretch, it feels. Exhale up to flat back. I'm actually just giving my kneecaps a little bit of a rub while I'm here. Exhaling nice and deep into the stretch. One more time in a forward fold. Inhale and exhale. Roll up one vertebrae at a time. I'm going to be practicing tree pose off of my mat today, just to have a little bit more of a stable ground. I'm on like, what is that? At least a half inch of like super squishy mat, and it makes it kind of wobbly sometimes. I'm going to start shifting my weight over to the right. Exhale, lift my left leg up and open, and then place my sole of my foot on my calf. Ooh-wee. And let's try for 5 breaths. Let's see. For my last breath cycle, I'm going to raise my arms and do a full grown tree and come out of it, shifting my weight over to the left. Again, I want to be real gentle, real mindful of this knee, and the best way to do that is to keep the muscles around it engaged. Exhaling, I'm lifting my knee up and then opening out like a hinge, and then resting my foot on my calf, being very careful to not put pressure on my knee joint. And 4 more breath cycles from here. Ah, it fell out, but that's okay. Just come back into it. Ooh-wee. And there we are. Oh my gosh. My knee feels significantly better actually. But it's just the wobbling of all of the support. We'll get it. We'll get there. It's progress millimeters and stuff. Okay, so from here, again, if your joints are questionable, just keep an eye on them and honor your body above all other things. It's not about, like, don't let your ego, Vaughn, get in the way of doing what's best for your body. So I'm gonna try it, but if I'm going to proceed with caution. That's what it is. So I'm stepping my left foot forward towards the head of our mat and bringing my right foot back. Inhaling up, exhaling down nice and deep. No, no joint pain. I'm finding that now that I'm a well-aged 33 and like a half, almost. So still basically a baby in the big picture of things, but not quite the spring chicken I used to be. So I'm noticing that the more stiff and sore something is, the more I move it, the less stiff and sore it becomes. So those are the squeaky wheels that I like to oil. So my knee is feeling freshly greased actually. So inhaling, exhaling, growing our arms out, growing up and out of the top of our head. Being grounded just as much through my back foot as my front. Let's inhale, reaching forward, exhale, coming up and back. Inhale, coming up into a triangle pose. So I'm actually going to come up out of it. Let us do a block down by where our foot's going to be. So we're in our position, triangle pose, straight front knee, but not locked out, just engaged. Grounding just as much through our front and back leg. Inhale forward, reaching. Exhale, woo, knocking our block over. Exhale, reaching our hand down to the ground, a block, whatever. And you could stay right here with your hand on your hip, just opening, or you can raise your arm up and look towards the sky. I have trouble here, so I'm staying for 3 full breath cycles. Now let's inhale, and from here, we will shift forward just a bit. I'm actually coming off of my mat and lifting that back leg. Nope. Well, I'm not quite at the half moon pose, so instead I'm going to shift my weight and come into warrior 3. And down. Very good. I am going to now repeat this. Let's come back up and repeat it on the other side before moving into, I'm still trying to work out what my favorite way of flowing this is, and I don't know yet. So the left foot parallel to the left side of the mat, right foot pointing towards the right side of the mat. Let's inhale up and exhale, coming down into our warrior 2. I actually like the up and down. I like that. I'm feeling that. Inhale, let's extend forward and then up and back. Reverse warrior. Inhale, coming around, straightening that front leg into triangle pose. Reach, and then come on down. I experience cramping in my obliques here. More than anything, I feel it in the trunk twist. On our third exhale, let's come around and raise up into warrior three. Lowering that back leg back down, coming up and out of it. Now I'm going to extend again, but this time, like we're looking over the left leg in front, let's lower that back knee to the ground, untuck our toes, and come here into, what is this? Crescent lunge. So we can push with our hands on our hips. We can have our hands on the floor. My stomach and thighs don't coexist in such limited space very well, so I like to use a block to bring my hands to the ground, or bring the ground up to my hands rather, so that I can stay lifted and extended through my chest and head. And from here, I'm going to shift up and through the middle, around to the side, just popping my hands over, lowering that back knee on the ground. And coming up into our crescent lunge. Really getting it into that hip flexor. Come on back, and I'm going to stay on this side and just bring my knee through in between my hands into pigeon. Now, if you want, you can have a block under your booty, but you want to keep your hips squared. You can also use a block or two, or three or four, to bring the ground up to you, again, so that you can get that nice reach and extension through your head, opening your heart to the wall in front of you. And from here, we can lower down. We can take those blocks to pat our elbows. But the main thing here is you do want to keep your hips squared, and you do not want to be feeling any pinching or stretching in your knees. I'm going to remove my blocks and get even deeper. Just be wherever you feel comfortable. Don't forget to breathe. Let's wiggle our toes. And from here, let's reach up. I'm actually going to try my hands overhead. Ooh, that really adds a whole lot of strength to the position, makes it much more engaging. We're going to come for just a moment into a cobbler's pose. Leaning nice and deep over our feet, pressing our knees down towards the ground. And from here, I'm going to shift and extend my right leg behind me. I want to snag one of these blocks so I can have two blocks at the other end too. And I'm just rolling around until I'm over my left knee, or left leg rather. I have my hips squared. I'm going to use my blocks to bring the ground up to my hands. lower them and bring our elbows down. Wiggle our toes here as well. And start to really just relax into it. I'm going to shift the blocks away now to bring my elbows all the way to the earth. And using the strength, very similar to how we do in Cobra when we try to lift without using our arms. Let's try to just use the strength of not our arms. Wow, I have got some learning to do to get better at teaching this stuff. Oh my gosh, okay. That kicked my butt just a little bit. That's alright though. I'm here to get my butt kicked. In a good way. The butt kicking I can feel pretty good about after the fact. So I'm trying to experiment with something. And that is as I breathe, whenever I'm doing like to kind of take my mind off of focusing on the number, to just go through the cycle of my fingers. So let's try to do an 8 breath cycle. So I'm going to be breathing in for kind of a steady 4 counts, and then hold for a moment, and then exhale for 8, and then kind of that's not the important part that we're focusing on right now, but it's the 1 finger and thumb together, 2 middle finger and thumb, 3, 4, and then the other hand, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, or however, that's just the general idea of it, and that's what I'm doing. So if you'd like to follow along, find yourself in a nice, peaceful sitting position. I'm, of course, going to open with some neck stretches because why not? A neck stretch is another one of those where it's like, I don't think I ever don't need a neck massage, or at least there's never an instance where I wouldn't, at the very least, really, really enjoy one. So I hope that made sense. So come to your place of stillness. You can picture yourself anywhere you like. For me, I have a very fond memory of when Randy and I were in high school together, and we were just starting to date, and we would go on walks. And there was this like just path off into nowhere that ended in like this big circle in the housing complex that we lived in. Like it was like a cookie cutter complex type. We lived like 2 streets over from each other. Um, but there was one evening we were going for a walk, and it was like the moon was real big in the sky. It might not have been completely full, but it was, things were well lit enough, and we walked down that path because it was like, oh, it's like the one little patch of the woods that they left in the middle of this god awful neighborhood that they just like paved the whole thing. And it was in Texas, so it was never not hot there. Anyways, this place was an oasis of um just, it's basically a ditch with a sidewalk in it looking back, but in my heart. And at the time it felt like this magical little grove, um and nobody else was ever walking that path or on it, and we would walk down it, and we would like sit and talk in that circle. And that's my place that I, whenever I picture, at least today, as I'm picturing it, it's in the center of that wooded little cove. I can still see it, the white concrete almost looking luminous in the moon glow. It was just beautiful and so full and thrumming with this feeling of falling in love and just the excitement at having, a friend. Like my whole life was just like somebody had just turned on the light. So in my mind, with that place and that feeling, that's what I'm going to be floating around in while we practice our breathing. When you're ready, start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Take an extra full breath and open your eyes if you haven't closed. I haven't. And just start to kind of bring some movement back into your body. Maybe rub your hands together, maybe stretch your wrists, your arms. And hopefully, this would be a great opportunity, actually, to journal about where you were, how it felt, how maybe what you liked or didn't like about it. Just observations without judgment. And maybe let me know down in the comments, where's your little happy place today? And I'm going to try my best to take that feeling of serenity and just the untapped well of potential of the world, because that's so much when Randy and I were first falling in love and making our life together. Um, that's what it felt like. It felt like we had discovered this spring of just all the opportunity and potential in the world. We had each other. We can do anything. So sometimes the world gets extra heavy feeling, and it can be really nice to remember that there is hope, that there is a lot of hard work, but there's all the potential. So I'm going to take that serenity and potential with me through the rest of my day, hopefully, until, the first minor inconvenience, probably. Okay, actually, let's try to make it to the second minor inconvenience. Maybe we can do that today, Vaughn. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And until then, keep on keeping on. Mwah. Bye.